In this segment, I want to introduce to you the ballet master and mistress of Ballet West. Now, the term ballet master and mistress has come down to us from the early French development of ballet itself. They were known as maître de ballet, and we've continued with these terms, as you are aware, in the rest of the course. I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves and to tell a little bit about their ballet background. So Pam, how about starting with you and give your background? And I've already said your name, but you can give us your full name, please.
Okay, my name is Pamela Robinson Harris. I've been a dancer and been associated with Ballet West now for, I'm going on my 23rd year. Started as a dancer with the company and then became ballet mistress in '97. And prior to that, I worked with Cleveland Ballet Mississippi, and also the state of Alabama Ballet. And then I joined Ballet West, and I really found my niche here, and I've been here ever since. That's it in a nutshell.
And my name is Bruce Caldwell. I'm ballet master as well. And I was taken into the company in 1968 as an apprentice, moved up through the ranks, become principal, where I danced for almost 20 years. I've come onto the artistic staff and am now ballet master. And this year, in addition, I've been named archivist and videographer, so I'm wearing a couple of different hats. I'm the institutional memory of the company, is what they're telling me. So we will be getting our archives and all of that organized, and that's going to be a good challenge for me in the future as well.
I'm Mark Goldweber, and I joined the Joffrey Ballet in New York in 1975. I retired from dancing in 1988 to become ballet master for Oregon Ballet Theater. I rejoined the Joffrey Ballet in Chicago in 1996 as ballet master. I eventually became director of the apprentices, and I'm new to Ballet West as a ballet master and director of Ballet West 2.
I imagine that many of you are not aware of how many companies there are in America. And when you're hearing even of the list that our ballet master and mistress have given to you, it only opens the door for you to realize that as you travel and have your careers in various states, look and find out about the ballet company in your area, because it's a wonderful performances and medium to go and see. Right now, I would like for them to share with you actually what are the duties of a ballet master and mistress. I know that you probably think that they just come in and make schedules and sit, and that the artistic director does everything, but actually they have very, very important duties and work long hours. So I'm just going to ask any of you to start and share with us your comments on your work, what you do in a day.
Okay, well, as Benet said, we do arrange the schedules for the dancers, but the dancers each have an hour-and-a-half ballet class every day that we alternate teaching the company class, as well as Adam Skloot, artistic director. We are also responsible for knowing all the dancers' steps in every ballet, and setting those and getting those prepared, as well as working closely with choreographers, visiting choreographers, and coaching and training the dancers.
Yeah, we do assign certain ballets to certain people so that we can take a little bit of a break on something, and that's in somebody else's court, so we can specialize on certain ballets, and then we're responsible for those. We also monitor the quality of the performance. After every performance, we have to give notes and say this was good, this was bad, this needs improvement. We also monitor the company's health, injury status, all of those, making cast changes as needed, rehearsing people to go in. it's never changing, always changing routine backstage.
Yeah.
Have they covered that, Mark, or do you have something to add?
I think they've covered that.
All
quite
right.
well.
Well, then we'll start with you this time because I'd like for you to be able to tell our TV audience you've had many experience with wonderful teachers, choreographers, artistic directors. Who emerges as, I know you have many favorites, but who would emerge as one favorite?
That I've worked with.
Yes.
Yeah. Not that it was a fun experience, but I treasure the experience of working with Anthony Tudor. I learned a lot from him, and I also liked Mr. Joffrey very much. People from the Balancing Trust, they're all wonderful, and the Ashton people as well.
What was particularly notable for you in regard to Anthony Tudor?
Nothing I did was right in the process. Everything was wrong. But what he had to say about it, he made me think. If I was in the cabaret where Offenbach in the Underworld, I was a waiter, what was I doing by day? I was working by night, but what did I do during the day? Things like that. He made me think of the character background.
Oh, that's terrific, and that would be a reason why he was so noted for his characterizations in his ballets, because he made you think beyond the actual moment of the ballet itself. That's terrific. Well, Bruce, do you have
Well,
someone?
yes, there was, early in my career, I had the chance to work closely with John Butler on his Carmina Burana, and that was a watershed moment, for my career, and it just opened up a whole different world. It was a different style of movement, and the way that he choreographed and set it on the company was very lasting impression. He was a giant man, but had a gentle kind of persona, but yet very powerful, and so I enjoyed that immensely. And I must admit, I enjoyed working with Willem Christensen very closely. He had a sense of humor and a way of prodding and poking and getting the best out of you that was, I have yet to see reproduced. And so he was a very unique personality, and I'm very happy to say I was able to work with him closely.
Pam?
Well, I have many favorites, and it's difficult to pinpoint one because every time you work with someone new, you really experience and gather a wealth of information as a dancer. I agree with Bruce. I was also fortunate to work with John Butler, and that was a really wonderful opportunity. But what comes to mind for me is working with Andrei Krakowski closely on his Anna Karenina, and that became a signature role that I danced quite often at Ballet West. And but my list is huge. I won't go into as many as I could.
That's why I said only one or two.
I know,
because I think that you're touched by every single person that you do work with, even if certain things are said that you think, well, that wasn't such a nice way of putting it or something. You still learn from them, and you get in. We get very close connected with how their process is. So that's why I was limiting you to, because the whole program could be just on our wonderful experiences here.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I'm going to switch now to another question that I'm going to ask Pam and Bruce really to address. They've been with the company for the longest amount of time, and I just would like to know what you think needs to be done to help the development of the company as it continues to grow. Do you have thoughts on that?
Certainly, I'll start. Ballet in America has changed quite radically over the years that I've been with the company. There are now more ballet companies, regional, etc. So the search for talent is a little bit more competitive. And what we need to find for our company specifically is to build the school, to build the company from within, to develop the talent that we have, and be able to hold on to it instead of losing it to other companies. So that's where I think the biggest challenge to our company is to develop the talent to their fullest capacity.
I agree with Bruce on that. I think that in terms of artistry, the higher quality that we can get, the better off we'll be. Companies evolved over the decades that we've been here, and watching what each new artistic director brings in is very inspiring and exciting to work with. And I agree with Bruce that in order to remain competitive in the field throughout the country, that we really need to fine-tune our school and be able to draw from within and keep our talent pool here in Utah.
And one other point is, while we are very dedicated to the full-length classics, we can't ignore the progress that ballet is experiencing worldwide as far as the limits that they're pushing. The dancers themselves, if you have a good classically based technique, some of these new choreographers are taking that basis and expanding on it and pushing it, and makes a very wide, diverse set of parameters for the dancers to be able to be conversant in and proficient in. And so those are all challenges that we face and need to address.
It's true, the growth in America, particularly in ballet companies, is quite immense, and it's like anything, you have to keep improving in your art form and in your work. Mark, I know you're new here, and you haven't had much time really to really see the company. In fact, you haven't really seen them in many productions, like the traditional Nutcracker and all. But do you have a concept of what you think your contribution can be to help bring the company forward? What you see that from an outside eye as to how you think it needs to grow?
I have had the good fortune of seeing the full-length Giselle last year and the Carmina program, and of course I was very impressed. I'd always been intrigued by Ballet West, and as a matter of fact, when Adam Skloot told me he was interviewing for artistic directorship, I said to him, the first thing I said was, it's a quality company. So I think the rest of the country is aware of the quality of Ballet West, and I only want to bring in my experiences working with choreographers and directors, and just everything I've gathered over my career, and hopefully share that with the company, always keeping an eye open to what's going on out there technically and artistically and theatrically.
You're also the director of the second company, which is called Ballet West 2, and I would like to have our audience understand how you choose those dancers for Ballet West 2, and also really what is the purpose of Ballet West 2 for the company?
The purpose of Ballet West 2 is to gather young artists and bring them up to be members of the main company. Adam said that he likes to find dancers who are diamonds in the rough, and by the end of 1 or 2 years can be legitimate members of the company. So they're younger, and they have much more focused coaching because they're a small group. And hopefully, eventually, at least 80% of the company can be from Ballet West 2.
Thank you very much, Mark, for that insight. And now I'm going to ask Bruce about videography for a ballet company. I think that the students in our TV audience should know the importance of this medium, what the importance is to a ballet company. So Bruce, since you're now a videographer and also the part of archivist, how that plays into the life of a company.
Well, it's becoming more important with the development of technology now. Many choreographers rely solely on videotape for preservation and how to reset their ballets when they go to reset them. So it's becoming very important that we get clear, precise videos of every work that we do. So as videographer, I make sure that we have a variety of angles, full stage, close-up on the principals, etc., during different performances to enable that. Also, it's very good for the dancers to be able to self-criticize themselves. They can look at it, they can learn from it, much like the sports people do. You can break down the tape and say, whoop, see, we've been talking about that foot, you better get it pointed, and a picture, of course, is worth, 1,000 words. So it's very important in that way. As far as preserving our past, we've had a lot of things on videotape that were on VHS that we're now going to digitize, have them preserved so that, and film as well, so that they will be accessible for future generations. And so this is a process that we're just beginning right now, is to preserve the past of the ballets. We're getting close to our 50th anniversary, and that's going to be very important, especially to the original company members and those that have come through the ranks, and to have that kind of resource available to go back and look at it.
You really brought up a very important point that I'd like our students to understand. That is, prior to videotape, ballets weren't set and reproduced again just through the memory of the ballet master or mistress. And as good as some of them were noted to be, still maybe little certain things did change throughout time. And so this gives them a record of something to really go by, and the ballet master or mistress can go and say, no, 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 you dancer think that you did this particular step here, but I know that it was this way. And it also so helps the process and rehearsal to continue on much more quickly because of that. So thank you, Bruce. I'm going to ask Pam to answer this question for us because it is a very important one. And that is, you hear so much, oh, ballet dancers are anorexic. They don't eat enough. And that's what the directors want. They want them they want them to be these really thin people that and they don't let them eat, and they're very mean to them and all. And then the other part of it is that dancers are athletes, and athletes get injuries. A lot of you think we're just artists, but the artistic part is all based on athleticism. And in fact, many people that have been athletes, such as boxers, there was a famous dancer, Eddie Ballet, who was a boxer first, and then he went into ballet. So how do they deal with injuries when you're putting on rehearsals and most importantly, you're into performance and injuries happen? So I've got two wonderful questions for Pam there, and Pam, I'd like for you to share with us your answers.
Sure, Benay. Through the course of a dancer's lifetime, they'll experience many injuries, some minor that can be handled just by going to physical therapy and working with a physical therapist. Others that are more severe. In my own career, I tore my ACL, my anterior cruciate ligament, while I was dancing, and that put me out of dance for almost a year. So, but Ballet West had in place, and still has in place, a great team of doctors and physical therapists who work closely with the dancers, and they take care of every need. The doctor was aware that I had a little hyperextension in my legs and made sure he didn't tighten my knee up too much, that would change the look and the shape and the line of my leg while under surgery. And then a year of physical therapy following, even after I came back to dance, probably 2 more years of physical therapy to make sure that that knee was strong and that leg was strong and could handle the daily ins and outs. As far as anorexia goes in dancers, it's a big concern in ballet companies. We are fortunate that we also have a team that we can send our dancers to, whether perhaps we want the dancer to lose weight, or we're a little nervous that they've lost too much, and there's a team of nutritionists that we can send our dancers to. We're always looking after them because they are our assets. They're our little gems, and without them, we have no Ballet West. So we really try and work closely and have a great team in place. We also have a massage therapist who is on site now. Something that wasn't around during our time, I had to seek out massage therapists when I was dancing here, but now we have someone who's on our staff who's upstairs with the dancers every day working as they go through their rehearsals. You know, they maybe get a cramp in their calf, or they get, their shoulder feels funny, and this massage therapist is able to manipulate and work and help them through those difficult times.
What about Pilates and yoga? That now, I know when I was a dancer, there was no such thing as Pilates, and we never thought to ever take yoga. How do you feel that plays into the life of a dancer? Are those areas that you recommend Ballet West dancers to pursue?
Absolutely. Pilates is a form of exercise training that was developed really to help dancers, but it's been used worldwide now and become very popular across the country, as well as yoga has also taken a resurgence and has become a very popular thing. The importance of those is fine-tuning the muscles, muscle groups that dancers actually use in classical ballet technique, and refining and knowing how to fine-tune and find that one little muscle fiber that needs. Yoga is great for the breathing that it develops for the dancers, and as someone who always struggled with stamina issues, I always had to think through my steps in terms of breathing, and yoga is a great exercise and practice for that, I think, as well as relaxation and calming yourself down at the end of a hard day of work.
So you can see that actually the ballet is an athletic art, and the areas where other athletes have included into their training also apply to ballet dancers as well. I always say one of the good things about us, however, is that we get to go on stage, do different kind of characters, and also we have great music and wonderful orchestra and everything.
Right.
So I think that's a part of the plus of being a dancer. Before we end this segment, I'm going to ask each of them if they would share with you the part of their work that they get the most pleasure. What is the best part of your day?
Oh, for me, it's working with the dancers one-on-one, watching them when they very first learn their steps to all the way through the rehearsal period to the point where they put it on stage for the first time. Even just talking about it, it gives me goosebumps, because it's such a pleasure and such a joy to be able to share with dancers what you've learned through your career, and then watch them take hold of those thoughts and ideas and create a beautiful story, or even if it's not a story, watch how they manipulate their bodies. Just that personal one-on-one is my favorite time in my work.
How about you, Bruce?
Oh, I couldn't agree more with Pamela. When you give a dancer a role, they approach it, they have to soak it all in. And then when they finally get that confidence and they come out on stage and it's them on stage and they're saying what they want to say, not what I told them they need to say, that's when I find the best moment, is when they've made it their own and are taking what I've given them and expanding on it to the fullest.
I'm going to interject one little thing here, because I do want to say, if you have more than one dancer doing a role, are they all dancing exactly the same way?
Well, that's impossible, because people are individuals. You can't ask an actor to play a role exactly the same way as someone else would play it. So we have to bring our own strengths as well as weaknesses into these roles and deal with them accordingly. So when they do that and they find that balance of themselves and are able to bring it across the footlights, that's the good part.
Thank you, Bruce. And how about you, Mark?
What gives me pleasure is when I can be passionate about the process with dancers in the studio and watching them on stage. I really enjoy in the studio when I can observe something and suggest something to them and it works. And I like to see the excitement they get when a pirouette works because I actually observed something that could help the process.
Thank you so much. I hope that you've learned a lot from hearing the Pam and Bruce and Mark talk about their role in creating a ballet and creating ballet in our area for Ballet West.